This is really the most appropriate look for me at the moment. I'll tell you why shortly. Hello. So, why the clown nose is probably the question you're asking yourself. It's because I'm a clown. I played myself earlier. Hello. Hi. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Trisha. And today, this evening, we're going to talk about um, some things. We're going to talk a little bit about my new tech, where I've been the last couple of weeks, and why Shrinky Dinks are not just for kids. So, to begin, why the clown knows. Well, I streamed earlier and got about an hour and a half into my stream before realizing that the problem I was having with the materials is because I printed on the wrong side. Happens to all of us, but because these are things that I actually want to make, um, I decided not to throw in the towel and not restream. That stream is now private, so you can't see it. But I'm going to take two and recreate basically what I did because now I have reprinted on the correct side of the material, which is printable Shrinky Dink. Now, backing up a moment, where the heck have I been? So, the last couple weeks, I did not stream because I was on vacation. And I was on vacation because it was my 20th wedding anniversary. Now, if you're asking yourself, did you get married when you were like 12? Yes. Let's just go with that. Yes, I was 12. The second question you might be asking yourself is why am I looking over there sometimes? And why is the camera, um, well, in theory, should be high, tracking where I'm going, but of course it's not because today I got a new webcam, and the webcam I got is the OBS bot tiny AI camera, and it's over here high, but my screen is right there. So sometimes I'm glancing over at the screen to make sure everything is generally going well. The second piece of tech that I got, um, some in-ear monitors, so I can hear better what's going into the mic and coming out of it. And I can hear if I have, a crazy echo and turn that uh stuff off. So, also this webcam is able to zoom a little better. It thinks that I'm waving at it. Hi webcam. Oh, it sees. So, let's zoom out. Hopefully, it will start zooming out anytime now, little guy. No. Mm, okay. It's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, okay? I'm gonna turn the lock off. Ooh, ooh. No. All right. It's just it's that kind of day, guys. So, I got that. I got the in-ear monitors on Prime Day. Links are in the description below. And fast forwarding to a small story while I go ahead and share my screen, at least I've got that ready to share with you. Yeah, so what we're doing today is Shrinky Dinks, and I want to tell you that Shrinky Dinks are not just for children. Even though some of the designs that I have printed out are a little childish, it's just because I prefer to not go outside of my comfort with some of the stuff I make too much. Um, So I know that these simple designs are better for what I'm doing. I'm also a big giant geek and nerd, and I like a lot of childish things because I just do. All right? Don't come don't at me. All right. So I'm going to show you actually. Let me show you this in Biggin. And can I actually cinema layout? I don't think that's going to work right now. All right, we're going with this. So, what I'm going to show you and hopefully actually let's have the bot at least attempt to follow me. Where did they go? All right. So, what I'm using today are printable Shrinky Dinks. They are Shrinky Dink brand, and camera is really there. It goes. Hi, hi, boo. Ghost boo. Can I call you Ghost boo? Um, so they are Shrinky Dink brand, and I don't think they make them anymore. And part of the reason that I told you that I was on vacation for my 20th wedding anniversary is because I've had these Shrinky Dinks for 20 years. That's how I know I've had them for 20 years. Because I've always been a DIY person and our wedding was very DIY. And I was going to make our um favors. I was going to make magnets out of shrink paper. Well, there were some things that I was too flustered at the time, too not familiar. I don't think I was using Photoshop at the time. I think I was still using Microsoft Publisher uh to do any kind of graphic things. And so, hello, track me. Thank you. All right. All right. Hi there. It seemed to work. Cool. It's not gonna. Anyway, it's screwing with me. All right. So, um oh, that's interesting. Um so anyway, um I had bought this printable Shrinky Dink paper and it's not paper, it's plastic. This printable Shrinky Dink made for inkjet printers, and I was going to make our magnets with that. Well, I did one and they turned out way smaller than I wanted them to be. They were way darker. The image didn't print well, um, based on, probably the quality of printer that I had at the time. It was just not great. Okay. Let's zoom out a little bit. It was just not great. And so switched over and I bought like Avery brand printable uh magnets and just did it that way. It's a real thin material. It's easy to cut. They were just squares, and so no harm, no foul. The only problem with those over the last 20 years is that they fade. Um, so just like a year ago, I still have a small stack of them. There's probably 10 or 12 in there that were left over. And so I switched the one out on our fridge for a fresh one last year. Um, so I've had this paper or this, I keep calling it paper because it goes in a printer. I've had this printable shrink film for 20 years. And it still is fine. It's been taken good care of. Um, and they all come in like a ziplock kind of pouch. Um, so why my stream earlier went sideways is because I was getting a lot of like the ink was smudging and I thought I'd allowed for enough time for it to dry. Um, it was really smudgy, and then the shrinking wasn't working and they weren't getting as like dark as I thought they should be. And then I realized after having done a whole page of them that I had printed on the wrong side. I'm still kind of getting used to this printer that I have, which is linked in the description below. It is a photo printer, um, but my old printer, you would put the material face up the way you want it printed, and this material you put it face down, which doesn't really matter when you're, dealing with printer paper. It's the same on both sides. Um, so I just screwed the pooch on that one. And so it is printed on the other side, where Adele is. So I will show you in a minute how you know the difference. There's a texture on the side that you print, and then it's just basically like white plastic on the, oh well, it's white the whole thing, but it's just basically plastic on the other side. So showing you real quick, one of the things that I couldn't do 20 years ago that I can do now is use Photoshop. So let me show you what's going on here, and I will kind of zoom in a little more. So as you can see, these are not my original designs. Um, well, I mean, I have manipulated some of them, but otherwise, these are images I found online, and I'm not selling any of these. If I were selling them, I wouldn't. Well, I just probably wouldn't. Um, but these are just for me or for my friends. Um, and for this video. So I am using some Disney artwork that came from one of the Disney websites. I think it is like Disney Kids or something. Years ago, every year, me and my friends have a Friendsgiving event. Uh, and years ago, I'm usually, because I'm not a big cook, so usually I'm in charge of decorations because that's my jam. And I had found in looking for something different online that this Disney website had a ton of Mickey and Friends Thanksgiving stuff. They had napkin rings and they had uh, uh, food labels and place cards and all this stuff, a centerpiece that you could print out. And I was like, great. And one of the things they had were these little printable Shrinky Dinks. And I was like, oh. And so I made customized um, wine charms for everyone. So that's where this came from. This like pilgrim hatted Mickey head. It came from those Shrinky Dinks. Um, that's where the Miss Piggy came from. And this other one I'm doing, that's where the Fozzie came from. So um, I had just saved a bunch of these. They had all kinds of different ones. They had Muppets, they had princesses, they had specifically the Little Mermaid, specifically Brave, specifically Tangled and Rapunzel. They had Toy Story and Cars and Monsters Inc. and all kinds of stuff. And this was probably within the last, I want to say it was in the last 10 or 12 years that I did this. I think it was like 2015, 2016. So any of the newer properties like oh no, Frozen was on there. So it must have been like 2015ish. Um so but anything newer than that like Encanto or Coco or Soul, any of the newer Pixar properties aren't I don't have. But they probably are there now if you went to find it. And I'll try to find, I don't think I have it bookmarked still anymore, but I'll try to find the link to it and link it in the description below. But it had everything and you can't really see it here, and I'll tell you in a minute why you can't really see it. That like Miss Piggy here that came from there has an outline around her with a hole punch in it. And that's because they were like a sheet, like an 8 by 10 sheet, and they were all meant to be printed onto Shrinky Dink or shrink film, printable shrink film, and shrunk into charms or keychains or whatnot. So I edited some a little bit, like the Fozzie. I took the outline out because that is gonna be a magnet for a friend, so I don't need the hole punch. And these I just used like a Waltograph, I think is the name of the font, and put everybody's initials on the different charms. And then I have a set of these wine charms that we now use every year for Friendsgiving to show whose glass is whose. And we're adding some people to the gathering. And so I need to make a couple more. So one of the things that I started to say that I didn't have access to do 20 years ago when I said that it had come out very dark is because that's going to happen when you're using a printable shrink film. The image quality is going to be much darker than it is once it's shrunk, just because it's compacting all of that pigment into a smaller area than when it's light. So it tells you that you need to lighten it like at least 50%. And I found that 50% works well for the setup that I have. So these are all with a 50% opacity. Now, on some of these, I did add a stroke. So let me show you, for example, this disembodied Stay Puft head. You can see it has a thicker outline than the, non-disembodied one. Um, yeah. And that's because I added a stroke to it because I know that I want a little bit more um like give when I cut it. So I wanted to have a little bit more of a margin or a bleed, if you will, is what it's called in professional printing. I wanted to have more of a bleed so that I could cut into that and be fine. And I did the same. I added like a little white or lighter colored border on some of these that you can see when I show you the actual printed copy, that it's not just white. The page is white. It's a white shrinkable film. Um, but some of these is like a very slight gray tone, and it's just so that I know where to cut it out. And I know that's gonna get darker around it, and I'm fine with that. So that's the thing. You wanna lay them all out, and I've laid them out in a way that, so that when I cut them out, some of the things I have on here, like this, is from the when Disney Emoji Blitz came out. You could emoji yourself, and that's me, in emoji form. And I know I'm gonna make this a keychain. So, for example, this I'm gonna cut kind of close to the little mushroom guy, but I'm gonna leave like a wide breadth right here by the ponytail where my cursor is, um, so I can put a hole punch in there and make it a keychain. And then the technique that I have used once before is, instead of doing what I did with all my other shrink Shrinky Dink stuff, which was just use a clear coat of like acrylic spray, I am using UV resin. So we'll see how that works. It worked out pretty good. There's a little bit of learning curve on it. And yeah, hopefully I don't massively screw these up. Fingers crossed. Okay. So let me stop sharing that. And I'm going to take a brief intermission while I change where my camera is looking so that you can see my workspace here. All right. Hey, that was pretty seamless. Let me move my gigantic can of iced tea out of the way. And so you can see how they printed. Let me kind of move my light a little bit so that the glare is not crazy for you. There we go. You can see how they printed. They're still light, um, but they will shrink down and get deeper in color. And I will show you. So I had attempted to do these wine charms a few weeks ago. And I'll show you that one. And this is about how small they will shrink down to. This one I'm redoing because I put my finger in the UV resin accidentally. So my fingerprints are on it. You could probably use this to unlock some things. Um, and there's like a little snag on it. So that's about the difference. Yeah, so the other thing I should mention is that these are going to shrink about 3 times as small. So this whole thing could probably fit in the ear. I don't want to touch it just in case. So bring the whoop, one moment. I'm just trying to bring the microphone closer to my face. All right. So as you can kind of see here, you can see it when I move it in the light. You see Cookie Monster's mouth there. You see how there's like a weird texture through his mouth. Well, that's like a weird defect in the film that you can kind of see, but overall you can see that this side, let me see if I can maneuver it in such a way, kind of, has like a texture to it. And the other side does not. That's how you can tell which side you're supposed to print on. And even though I went over this at the beginning of my video earlier, I didn't even catch that it was printed on the wrong side. So alas. All right. So I am going to move my there we go. All right. Okay. So let us begin. So you want them bigger. You want to punch the holes before you shrink them because otherwise the material will be so thick that you won't be able to just punch a hole. It is a plastic. Um, so you want to punch the hole first, or or else you would have to use like a rotary tool, like a drill, to do that. All right, just trying to get my. Whew. Okay, so what I'm gonna do first is, I think because this is the one that I did earlier, and was so frustrated with. I'm gonna set it over here on my computer, and let me actually move my arm in the way because I am going to kind of zoom this in a little more so that you are just seeing my workstation and not really focusing on the mess that is the rest of everywhere else. All right, I got a new like folding desk for my operation here, and a big like storage cart, so the boxes are still kind of in the background. Okay, so what I have found, like I said, the best thing is to punch any holes first. And I have found that these like little scissors that are made for like manicures, like nail scissors, are the best to use for getting into like the corners. Just because, unlike these scissors, so with these scissors, they're definitely made for to be held in your right hand, right? And so if you they're just a little clunkier, they're bigger. These, even though there is a distinct curve, there we go. There's a distinct curve in the blade. Um, the handle is not like double-sided. It's not as ergonomic. So you can easily use them the way they're supposed to be used with the blade kind of pointing, kind of curving outward, or you could flip them around and use them the other way relatively easily. It's a little uncomfortable, but generally speaking, not terrible. So I'm just going to do a rough cutout of some of these. And I think most of these are going to be keychains. So I'm trying to give like a good amount of clearance. That one's not and that one's not. So I can just kind of do that. So these ones are all going to be cut out pretty exact. I'm going to leave a little bit of a border around Fozzie Bear there, but these are going to be cut out pretty exact. And in fact, this one I think I might do off camera, because the reason it's just the mouth and the eyes is I have a keychain that's like a blue furball poof that I'm going to figure out how to attach these to so that it just is a Cookie Monster floof. So that's the idea. Also, what I say, I was on vacation. Don't shame me about my nails. That is next weekend's video. Or next week's video. It'll probably be like my Barbie video where it is like footage of me doing the manicure instead of a live stream. And that's because on Saturday we are going to a baseball game with my husband's work. It's their like summer picnic. Um and I want to do my nails before that, because like every year I've done an Oakland Days manicure and I haven't done one yet this year. So that's my time. And freaking next year there may not be an Oakland A's. So, which is also kind of why I'm going to the game, because they've not been doing terribly well. But let me my light is very like, it's not the greatest light. I was using a Brightech light that was great for most of my older videos, and then the clamp part just bit the dust. It's a few years old, so I have this little light, work light for now. I'll figure out something better. All right. So, so the only reason I'm even going to the game is because it's the company picnic, and it's they might not be in Oakland next year, so this might be my last opportunity as a lifelong Oakland A's fan. Kind of sucks, but oh well. All right. So here's where I kind of rough cut out a lot of the bigger corners, but here's where the little nail scissors come in handy, because you can really get into that corner there. And the thing about this like shrinkable plastic is that it's pretty easily cuttable with scissors. I tried earlier to use like a self-healing mat and one of those retractable X-Acto blades that looks like a pen. And that's just I don't it's not my wheelhouse. And so the pressure is hard to figure out, and I abandoned it because I had to go over it twice, and then that's kind of like, well, what's the point um in that? So I've done all the ones that I can come at it like curved outwardly, and now actually I'm going to continue. It is more comfortable to hold uh the proper curved direction. So what I'm gonna do, oop, see, it was like smudging like crazy earlier and I couldn't figure out why. This is like, I could probably still really smudge it, but it's, it's soaked into the material at this point. So this, I'm gonna put the light down here and turn it around so that you can kind of see, I can see through it where the lines are and do my cutting that way so that it's still cutting on this inward curve, but I'm technically looking at the back side. And the thing about this is I can get real close into the corners, but also um if you do find that it cuts, sometimes when you get way into those corners like you really want, it cracks. And it didn't do it on this one, so I can't show you what I'm talking about. But sometimes it like rips just a little bit in the crevice there. And the thing to combat that is just shrinking it. When you shrink it, it'll, kind of fuse together. So this has a very small hole in it, and I have two size hole punches. I have this one, which as you can see by the green dot, that's how big it is. And then I have this one that is a black dot, a little harder to see. There we go. Black dot, and is a standard size hole punch. This one's small. I'm going to make sure to put this wiggly part. If you ever wondered what this was for, let me show you. And honestly, I don't know if that's what this is for, but earlier I did this and I had not made sure this was on this side, and I had to ruin what I was pulling off because of the smudges to get the hole punch off, because so you can see I'm holding on to this part and using it to pry the thicker material off of here. So I had it here. Shoot, you can't see that. Okay. So I had it here is how you're supposed to have it. I had it here, which then I couldn't use this to pry it off, and I had to just the whole thing went to hell. Come to find out, the whole thing would have went to hell anyway, based on my fumble on the printing, but that was especially hellish. Okay. So you see how like that was pretty quick to cut out, and you're potentially asking yourself now, um, girl, you have a Cricut. Why don't you just cut them out on the Cricut? Well, let me tell you why I don't just cut them out on the Cricut. And I think I'm going to use my regular scissors for Fozzie, since I do want to leave a bit of a border for Fozzie. Um, the reason is because of the gloss. So when I have tried in the past to use the print and cut feature on the Cricut to print and then cut out a very exact shape on the shrinkable plastic, it fails to be able to read the registration marks to know where to cut. And I'm not sure if that is because I have a Cricut Maker. I don't know if the Maker 3 has the ability to better cut on a glossier material or print the registration lines on a glossier material, but on the Maker that I have, the glossy material is the death knell, so to speak, of being able to for the machine to read the printed registration marks because it's using like a light laser sensor, and so it it just can't read the glossy material because of the reflection. So here's a good example. You see how, let me see if I can show you how on cutting this ear out, it tore a little bit. There's a bit of a tear in there. There we go. It'll just fuse back together when I shrink him. And this is also, it's not quite as smooth along one edge. I'm going to trim that just a little bit to have a little less of a sharp point. But I'm also going to see if I can use just sanding it to get it to be a smoother all the way around. So we've got, and this is, like I said, this is going to be a magnet, so it doesn't need a hole punch in it. Okay. This is going to be a keychain. And I did this, it's like a very light, like pink outline. But I think I am still gonna leave a good border around this one because of the awkward shapes. Of course, I say that and then I get real close to where the border is on this. Like where the little faint pink border is. And I'm gonna leave that. I don't know if I'm gonna punch the hole in the center of this one or punch it up here. We'll see. And even though like I printed on the, correct side of this this time, I'm still doing my best to not touch the printed area just in case. Okay. Now I have to figure out how I'm going to shape this bottom because I could just kind of go around. Yeah. And then do that. Kind of trying my best to make it as somewhat symmetrical as I can. I think that's probably as good as we're going to get on this one. I'm going to trim up that corner a little bit, trim up this corner, just kind of make sure it's a little more rounded off. Now I'm going to use the larger hole punch for this one. I gotta decide where it's gonna go. I need to have like a good amount of clearance between the edge. So I think I actually will put it actually I'm looking at this other one that I have printed, and on the printed piece there's probably a fourth of an inch of clearance. So maybe if I just do it like right above the star point, but within the triangle. I'm trying to get this like as evenly spaced as possible. That's pretty good. You'll still know what it is when it shrinks. All right. Let me clean up these pieces a little bit. So, linked in the description below while I'm cleaning this up, linked in the description below is a brand of printable shrink film that I found on Amazon that looks pretty similar. It's got good reviews. Um, and that's what I'm linking to. That is, to be clear, not what I'm using, but it does seem to be relatively the same stuff. All right. Mm-mm. So this one I printed out a like outline around it so that I could follow the outline. So let's do that. Cutting. Whew. You may have just heard my tummy a rumbling. So let's put on some like the night driving. And I'm doing this stream for two reasons. One, so that I have some decent content for this week. This the one earlier just went all to the hell. And at the same time, like, here's the thing. I got really nice comments before about my videos that it was nice that I showed the mistakes because nobody's perfect and we're all just doing our best here and trying things out. And so they appreciated that I shared the flaws and the mistake, and that's part of iteration. Adam Savage just talked about it, and like he wishes in more maker spaces around the country they would show like, all right, this is the gorgeous finished product that we have here, but this is what the first version looked like. It looked like dog shit. And that's because we, printed it out and waited for a bunch of filament and then had to fix it and finish it. So to just kind of so that people know, like, not many people come right out of the gate with their brand new craft and knock it out of the park. Sometimes, don't get me wrong, you get real lucky and you're like, yeah, boy, it came out great the first time. I'm a genius. But a lot of times it doesn't come out right the first time. And so you do have to do it and give it another shot. So I'm happy to share this journey with you guys and tell you stories, chitty chat while I'm doing this stuff, answer questions when you come by into the chat, and we can learn together, and you can see the general process of what it really looks like, not the polish. I'm a professional. I'm doing this, so perfect. This is achievable. You can do these things. Um, they're not all like super word I'm looking for. Like, that's the thing about like DIY. It just looks so perfect, and you're like, how did they get it to look that great? And it's because they're only showing you this. I'm gonna skip getting into this corner. But it's because what you're seeing is the version. So yeah, I privated that video earlier because I don't want you to see that version, but I'm still telling you about this version. It exists. I screwed up pretty hard there. And it sucks, but we can move forward. And I'm not throwing in this stuff. I still want to do these. I still want to show you. And even though, the design I'm using here, this doesn't happen. That's what you do with kids on a it's a great thing to do with kids on a day. But you can make some, I don't want to say professional looking things with it because, it's not professionally manufactured. You can still make some pretty cool custom things. And if you are, I can't draw, but if you're an illustrator, you can easily make your own illustration or into magnets or turn your artwork into a magnet or into a earrings or a brooch, a pin, or a pendant. And that's kind of where it gets the most exciting. I'm using someone else's designs because I'm not an illustrator. But doesn't mean you're not. Doesn't mean you can't jump in here with your own design and do some cool stuff. That might be as close as I get it on that zero scale. But yeah, so you can do it. There's nothing to it. There's a lot to it, but I won't lie to you. There's a lot going on. But I think the problem with this, I made this outline without properly thinking about where I wanted to look. I did the same one. I did the stroke on that one. This one is also a stroke, but I could have done a could have manipulated it in this one. But I really put a lot of forethought into where the hole is going to go. Also, clearly didn't see this it would be nice if I could cut things like this out with then have a border on the cricket because I've had hit or miss results with cutting things out with the print and cut feature that are really accurate. Because it is like sometimes you get pretty dang close on cutting out the shape that you printed and then cut out, but sometimes it's also pretty wonky and can be off. So you gotta just kind of calibrate that. And 20 years ago when I bought this material, it was not. It was a almost we're not going to have wedding favors kind of situation when I didn't get it to work for what I wanted it to work. But I think at the time of friend or family member, that sucks. How much is the friend that I get? you're able to talk to somebody said it's the day before. Very good. That's the kind of wedding we had. Like, we didn't have catering. We had food that my friends' moms all made, and my friends were not cooking. And they were all right. You know, we were all right. I'll give you the actual age. It wasn't 12, it was 22. So you know, we were 22. We were not, you know, very established on our own. One of my friends had gotten married already. The rest had not. Actually, to this day, only that one is never been married. Most of them gifted. Um, but yeah. So their moms ate food, and I thought, you know, we went out to dinner on our anniversary proper last week, at our, you know, on our vacation, and I didn't even think about, you know, what I was eating for dinner until I was at home, or at home, back at the place we were staying, and I'm sitting there, and you know, my husband and I are waxing nostalgic about, you know, oh, kind of, if you've ever been married, it's the kind of conversation that I think every married person has at some point on some anniversary. Oh, at this time, this many X many years ago, we were doing this. Oh, at this time, this many years ago, I was, you know, making sure my suit fit. I can tell you that even before our anniversary, our wedding 20 years ago, I was still printing and cutting magnets because it was I was printing and cutting magnets and printing and cutting why do I want to say programs that said like who was speaking and what order of things and that kind of stuff. So that was what I was. So we were having that kind of conversation about like, oh, should we, you know, do this? Should we watch? Now this is gonna sound worse than it is. On our wedding night, we watched Little or Finding Nemo. We watched Finding Nemo. And the reason we watched Finding Nemo was because his parents, my in-laws, um, were kind enough to pay for us to have a hotel room at the hotel we were staying at. Um, and they just, you know, told the front desk, make sure it is our rooms with all their kids and stuff. Because I think they had rooms for them and their kids. And so that was kind of the directive. And because we were on their account, whatever they bought, like through the on-demand movie, pay-per-view, however you want to call it, we got on our team. And it was real funny because I remember, like, we get a phone call asking if we were, if my husband could talk. And he's like, yeah, like, what's going on? And so, I don't know if it was his mom or his dad, but they were like, are you listening? And he's like, yeah, yeah. And so I remember one of my sisters-in-law coming down the hall and like knocking on our, because we were like all the way at one end of the hall and they were all the way at the other, on the same floor. And I remember they came and knocked and said, hey, mom and dad bought Finding Nemo on the pay-per-view, and because your room is on our account, you can watch it. So if you wanted to watch it. And we're like, cool, thank you. Because, you know, doing the stuff that you do on your wedding night, doesn't take the entire night. It takes a fraction of the night, right? So we watched Wedding on the wedding night. I don't think we had seen it in theaters. I think that was the first time we'd seen it out like on demand, pay-per-view, whatever you call it, at a hotel in the early aughts. So, okay, so this year we were thinking, oh, should we watch this movie? Which we do. And it had sort of occurred to me that what I'd had for dinner at the restaurant that night last week was roast turkey. What I haven't done. I'm a big fan. And I said, oh, you know what I just realized? Is that 20 years ago at our wedding, I also was having roast turkey for dinner because my friend's mom turkey for our reception. So it was nice. All right. Where am I going to put a hole on this guy? It's got to be the bigger hole. Bigger hole. I feel like in the tail? No. In the tail? No. I don't want to obscure the pumpkin, so I definitely don't want to put it in the pumpkin. Like right here, just kind of. Yeah, I think that's probably. Well, if I do that, is that too far? If I put it like right there, is that too far? And I won't be able to get a jump. I should have not put the line off, but that is. So I think put it right there, here. It's like a 0 ear tag. It's fine. Alright. So we have the, oh, and I have the, yeah, so I have the Cookie Monster. So what we are going to do is go ahead and bring these up and go from there. The rest I can do later. Okay. So, Trisha, you are asking, while you are hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button down there, help me with the YouTube gods. You're asking, I'm sitting at a TV tray in my living room. How am I going to shrink Shrinky Dinks? Bam, son. Heat gun. Alright. So I saw a couple of different things of note. There went my house. Hopefully I don't have to move anything on the tree. So I saw somebody using like this, like a roll of tape to kind of insulate around it. The thing is, a lot of these are bigger, like this, like I think beer can fit in there. The mushrooms, they weigh 0, there's no way positive. So I have to just kind of wing it until it starts to shrink and then another thing is I use a stick to kind of hold it down so that when it starts to inevitably like flop a little bit, it doesn't flop away from the tree. So I, of course, now because the heat gun is loud. why. Grabby grab. Nick, hear me when streaming. Alright, so I'm gonna mute y'all and we're gonna work on the tricks of the things. Are you ready? While I'm doing it, like, hit subscribe, check out the links in the description below, but don't change that channel. Still don't change that channel. There's no dial, but don't change the channel. Now, well, as you can see, it don't all work out. This one curled up on itself, and I couldn't get it uncurled fast enough. And at a certain point, trying to it is without effort that will only break your nails even further. Sometimes I wonder how I got any of this to work. You know? So it's hard, and it is a hard end. So you can see how it like deepens the color. Yeah, which is sadly no salvaging this one. Which weird. But I um I did learn something is that I'm trying to hold it down with the hole, and this ended up in the hole, and it shrunk around. So That's not good. Don't hold it by the hole. I wonder if there's a way for me to like kind of lay this across it to keep it from curling up on itself. Shoot, let's try it. still touching with this one, which this is definitely a do as they say, not as I do, because I break the shit out of my finger. Um, but remember how I said, oh, don't worry if there's a little like cut because it will use, yeah, it'll also make it curl. Now I figured out that's why it's curling back. So I think if I continue heating it, I can fix this tail. Which means that that little guy might be salvageable. We shall see. Sorry you can't see into this and see what's going on. We'll figure that out at a future point in time. Back to mute while I figure this out. Try to heat it enough so that I can uncurl it, and then I'll use this little guy. What's up, bitch? Yes, son. Alright, it's not perfect. There's a little hesitation here. Um, but it's relatively flat. It is kind of jagged, but I think I can sand that. And it is. My friend will still be super enthused for this keychain. Sweet. And you see how small the hole got. You can see how small the hole got. So it went from a hole that's basically this size to a hole basically this size. And so on the thing, when I did this, it'll just be just yet. Well, actually, because I had my thing in the way, it might not. But let's see if I can fix this after I respond to the text message. All right. Remember when I take a break, I'm telling you, hit that like, that subscribe while you are don't want to miss the other crazy shenanigans I get up to trying to fix. All right. If I can salvage this, uh, salvage this little. All right, not totally great, but the one that went wrong before, this one shrunk better. This one maintains color better. So I think there's hope. There's hope. I'll have to see if I have like similar color paint or something. I might be able to salvage them, but not. All right. Pause, pause. Did I have cut something here? So I'm gonna like purposefully use my little spatula to kind of do that, and hopefully keep this ear from like flipping up in itself too much. Oh, come on, pause. Let's go. Waka waka waka. All right, he turned out pretty dang good. I am happy for pause. All right, on dinner duties. Yes, it is about that time. That time. What the 29 minutes? Yeah. Uh, I don't know if you heard. You probably just said you because. All right. So I'm still, off the weather. Yeah, well, maybe. Right. Okay. So there's one more to go. This might not be big enough. But, well, this is only like 3 by 3, 3.5 feet. have or something like that. I may need to bust something else in. But this one doesn't have, this shouldn't have the same problem because it doesn't have any of those random cuts. It does, but like it's on the edges. All right, cross your fingers and your toes. I want to cross the next. I think we might have flown too close to the sun. I'm not sure this one is salvageable. I love the look of it and the color. Oh, shit. Maybe it was just too big because it's stuck in the same color, like sticking to each other. This one was. You know what kills me too? This and this, same person. Started off so well. Part- Ah, son of a brisket. No. Oh, well. This is what we're gonna do. Dinner is on the plate. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna finish off this keychain, and then we're gonna be done for today. I'm setting the gun aside because, and then now I think I could easily commit a crime now because I don't have any more fingerprints. They are burned the fuck off. I'm gonna grab my UV hearing lamp. Set it 60 seconds so that it's ready. We're ready. Alright, so I'm just gonna use this little boat, clear UV resin. Your time, 2 to 10 minutes. So what I have found is that it's pretty well cured. Um, like flat and, and then I just keep putting it in over different over everything. I love these small spatulas that got them on edges. Just kind of turning it to the light of the lamp. See if I see any like real obvious issues. And I want to do a second coat. Take my itty bitty torch, just lighter. I guess, but whoop. Uh, this is a good one over to optic bubble. Okay, maybe a better put something on. You know? Oh yeah, just run this. Important just a minute. I'm not going to hit it with the plaster again. I'm just going to kind of let it sit to self-level a bit. I can do 0. Should be kind of zero is not careful around the hole that but I also get just a little bit more tail there. It worked. Bubble. We'll let it kind of self-bubble out here. And actually, work that little bit. I'm going to fit so that it bubbles itself out. Off. A little 91% alcohol in here. Spray it on the back end and then give this whole nozzle area a wipe so it doesn't run up on the side of the cap. That way, I'm going to wipe the resin off. And I'll get these little bits that are kind of more. I think those are more or less kind of a little bit that just do that better. Then I'm going to move the light over them because this is this little chunk of sense since it is a nail lamp underneath. You can kind of see in here where there's like some on the silicone. That's why I have the silicone here. Because it's easy to just cure the UV resin and then like scrape it off. Also, you can use first things that I said is that you can use the alcohol too. yet. So this has 30 more seconds on it. And then I'll put it in one more time. That say it's actually like heating up. It's not. It's just acting as a chunk to keep the sensor light on. Zero is going to need a little bit of sanding, but I'm going to do that with rotary. So I don't think it matters to have put the UV resin on first. And like the thing about I can already tell that it's kind of like there's a bit over here where it's all the way to the end. So I'm gonna wanna hit that again. Fozzie looks pretty good. I don't think I used enough on the tail. But luckily I should be able to put a little bit more resin there and then it'll kind of level out with it. So keychain, I'm just gonna jump right to keychain. I got these fun colored rings from Temu, and so I might put like the red one or around just one on it, and then just a standard split. And then Fozzie, I have got some E6000 there, and there's an neodymium magnets. I'll see if I can find the link to it. I did find it. But I'm just going to glue them to that now. He's still sticky, but I can tell in like maneuvering that he's pretty solid. I don't think I can fix him with more resin. I think he just needs here more. Zero has like a patch here, patch here, patch here. Gold. And I will spread that out. Other here with it. Letting those kind of sit up level. This out a lot more. That off. Pretty off. So that's what's going down with zero and Fozzie here. So we've got 2 out of 4 that turned out relatively okay. And that's the thing. Like I would get when you're first starting out with this, I would definitely get like the cheaper trick stuff because it's gonna be a little hit or miss like this. Um, yeah, I mean, technically, this one didn't come out terribly. I mean, it's not good. It's not good, but it's also not, this chunky piece of here that's just folded up with my knife. I don't know if it's the ink sticking to itself because, like, the instructions tell you that it'll curl. They tell you that it'll curl and that it'll flatten out and it'll stop curling. So I don't know if sometimes it just gets stuck. If it's the printer ink, I don't know what it is. I didn't mean to use this on, but I'm sure it is hearing those things now. So I'll in and hope that it kind of self-leveled where it needed this. So they're definitely plastic, but you can see how Ozzy has a little bit of like an enamel in vibe. Go ahead, cut him out closer to the print like this one, and put like silver paint around the side. You might think it. Or I've got a couple over here that are going to be in, and I'll have this set of impacts that I got. I think I actually got these at like a dollar store knockoff somewhere, but literally those kind of findings you can get at Michael's or Joann's or at the craft store. I think I can still see a couple of exhibits, but Hero is at least the tail seems to be better. I don't know. I'm counting my wins here, folks. Alright, so that's gonna do it for me today. I don't have a lot of other insight that I can show you about this stuff, but give me a solid. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let's see if this will actually try to find me, my little guy, over here. What up, little dude? Hello. All right. Thank you for coming. Thank you for bearing with me. And I hope this showed you what I wanted, which is that Shrinky Dinks are for everyone. They're not just so. Yeah. Enjoy. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.